Hi, my name is Omar Farouk Kazi, and today I will be talking about the beer game supply chain simulation that we were given by Professor Karthik. In this simulation, we played the role of the retailer in the supply chain. The overall goal was to keep costs low and to understand the main factors that contribute to the bullwhip effect in a supply chain. Beginning with the bullwhip effect itself, the first question you may have is what is considered a bullwhip effect in the first place? A bullwhip effect occurs when a demand distortion or curve is originated from the retailer and is followed up through the wholesaler and also the manufacturer. When the retailer is having problems with demand, this will create a wave of demand that will continue through all the way till it reaches the consumer. This literally creating a bullwhip effect, much like a whip. It will start off big and create these waves, eventually simmering down all the way to the end, where in the supply chain will eventually reach the consumer, which is the end of the whip. Many factors were observed in creating the bullwhip effect. This including three main ones that I've noted down. The first one being price fluctuations. As the product was being sold, the price would either go lower or higher. Our product being beer, it would go higher when it was being sold regularly while having a low stock and a higher backlog, and lower when having more stock and a decreased backlog. So we were having issues with that. This goes hand in hand with the next factor that I'm about to say, and as you can see, out of stock and overstock. So um, uh, when there was more stock, the price would decrease, and when we were out of stock, the price would increase. This as well costing me more and increasing my cost exponentially. Forecasting errors made by the supply chain would also cause the bullwhip effect due to trends being incorrect and finances not being handled correctly, leading to an increase in costs. So, as we learned before, when like forecasting is done to see how well the product is gonna be doing, and when the supply chain doesn't see the trend correctly, we will probably be overspending and like just wasting money when we don't really need to. Now, we will talk about techniques that we could use to avoid the bullwhip effect completely. So these techniques can be used to avoid the bullwhip effect. Re- First of all, reducing lead time, meaning taking out waste and unnecessary tasks throughout the supply chain and making it more smoother of a process. So taking out unnecessary tasks, which do end up wasting time throughout the whole supply chain. So if we take these out, it would make it much smoother and it would make it much more quicker. Secondly, you can use MOQ, which stands for minimum order quantity. Manufacturers can set an MOQ for customers so they are guaranteed a certain amount that they will buy. This will decrease negotiation and quicken up the process of selling the products. So for the beer, if the manufacturers set a MOQ, we don't really have to worry about people negotiating. Oh, I only want to buy this much. I only want to buy this much because this is our minimum order quantity. So if you want to buy from us, you have to order this much. Finally, forecast accuracy. I said earlier in the presentation, seeing correct trends will definitely benefit the company and all of the supply chain. So if the trends are seen correctly, whether it be quantitative or qualitative, we can correctly um, uh, set our finances. So see that, oh yeah, we can spend this much, and once we spend this much, we will see this much like improvement in the supply chain as well as getting more money from the product. So using all three of these techniques, these main ones, you can definitely decrease the bullwhip effect. At the end of our simulation, we saw that our cost accumulated to 13,730. So this coming from the manufacturer, the supplier, everybody, all four places. So once we saw how much money we're going to each place after the 50 weeks, we saw the cost had accumulated to 13,730. Cost went up when prices fluctuated, especially when there was more backlog. So seeing that when the backlog was there and we were able to move out our product quicker, and there being more backlog due to this, like, we us not having the product as inventory. So we were just losing money because we're supposed to be moving out the shipments, but we just have the backlog and we're not sending anything out. So we're just continuously losing more money. If continuously losing more money. Exactly. Try to keep costs low by decreasing both stock inventory as well as increased backlog. So the increased backlog was definitely the worst. That was way worse than having stock already. So if we had stock, we were still moving it out regularly. But if we had backlog, even if we were moving out stock, we had no stock on hand, and whatever stock we had would just go out immediately, and we would just be increasing the backlog, and as it increased, costs just went up, and if costs keep going, if as you could see in the PDF, we hit backlog about 3 times, and those 3 times the the cost accumulated exponentially. It's so much, and it clearly shows how bad having backlog is. Recommendations I give to future managers would be uh, these three recommendations: reduce backlog to decrease costs, reduce inventory stock to decrease costs, increase communication in supply chain. So all three of these would probably go together. Would definitely go together. Reducing backlog and reducing inventory both would decrease costs. And as we saw in the simulation, having backlog is horrible. As I said in the earlier slide, and also having too much inventory is also really, really, really bad for your company. So there has to be a good supply chain, and both of these will come into play if there's really good communication. So if all four or the whole supply chain is constantly communicating with each other, then we could easily reduce both backlog and inventory, because there are no issues in any area, and everybody is communicating thoroughly, and there's no problems. And this will make the supply chain much more smoother, and it will definitely make our products sell more. And finally, experience with the beer game. It definitely gives a good understanding of how to handle inventory movement. So seeing how, if we have more backlog, we will definitely lose money and increase our cost. If we have more stock inventory, then we will also increase our cost. So it definitely gives us a good understanding of that. It helps us with business strategy. So lets us see that, oh yeah, if I put this much, I will get this much. If I give this much, I will get this much. And definitely gives us a better understanding of how costs work. And finally, increasing knowledge of supply chain and how to deal with blow-up effect. So blow-up effect was the main focus of this simulation, and we saw that if whatever disruptions were made in the supply chain, the blow-up effect was seen immediately, and so definitely seeing the techniques and using the techniques that I showed, it would definitely reduce the blow-up effect and definitely help the supply chain thoroughly and make it work more smoothly and help everybody. Thank you for listening to my presentation. This was Omar Farkazi on the beer game simulation. Thank you.